Clay, come on up. Come on up.
All right. Hello, Sheridan.Church. How are you guys doing?
We got the man with the plan.
Okay, I'm going to shift the energy a little bit. I apologize. I bring some weird, passionate energy. We have 421 days left until we have the big election, right? 421 days to save this country. And so I want you tonight to get a chance to know some people that are working very closely with President Trump every day. One would be his daughter-in-law, Miss Laura Trump. And I also want you, hey, let's hear for Laura Trump. There she is. And also Kash Patel. So by round of applause, how many of you know the name Kash Patel? Kash Patel, come on up here, sir. Let's hear it for Kash Patel. All right. Welcome, sir. Thank you. All right. So, Kash is sort of mysterious, and you can't find him unless you're on Truth Social. So, download the Truth Social app, okay? So I'm going to ask a bunch of questions that I've always wanted to ask Kash before I got a chance to meet him, and I think it'll allow you to know what's going on and the kind of people that President Trump chooses to surround himself with. So Kash, first off, what was your background before joining Team Trump there, sir?
Can I just do one thing real quick? Thank you to Clay Clark, pastor. Thank you to Laura Trump for letting me share some time and space with y'all in Oklahoma. It is my first trip here, and I plan on coming back. This place is awesome.
Welcome to Tulsa, Jerusalem. Tulsa, Jerusalem.
Yeah, so the basic story of my life has been, if you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plan, and they've been laughing at me for 20 years. I started out as a lawyer, public defender, went to DOJ, became a terrorism prosecutor, thought it'd be really fun to kill terrorists, did that for a while. And then I met this guy, Devin Nunes, and I was like, who is this guy? And he was like, oh, we need somebody to run this thing called the Russiagate investigation. I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. I'm out. And 2 months later, I was working for him. We ran that, and true to his word, he introduced me to President Trump, and I got my dream job running counterterrorism for the U.S., and then the rest is kind of history.
All right. Now, so, Kash, tell us about Truth Social. What's your role with Truth Social? Because many people out here, I think people know this, but if you don't, Linda Yaccarino is now the CEO of Twitter. And she says that if it's lawful but awful, you can't share it. This is the CEO of Twitter, hired by Elon Musk. You're starting to see censorship on Facebook and YouTube everywhere. Tell us, what's your role with Truth Social, and what's the mission behind Truth Social?
So I'm going to tell you what I told Devin Nunes and Donald Trump, my two former bosses who started Truth Social, and the other is the CEO of Truth Social. You probably want someone on the board of directors who knows how to sign on to social media. But they look past that. So we got in the fight, and I'm glad I did, honestly. It was a lesson for me being on the board. Opening up the internet is Devin and President Trump's mission. Censorship-free is the mission. And the most critical part of it all is, you guys have to remember, the two biggest actors in rigging the election against Donald Trump, not once but twice, and they're probably working on a third time, is the FBI and DOJ rigged it with Facebook and Twitter. And so we have to have censorship-free platforms like Rumble and Truth Social. And so I'm just encouraged and happy to be a part of it. And we got to fire away. That's where you guys can find your voice. Get out there, find one line of effort in your community, and run hard for the next 420 days.
All right. Now, I know we have about 80,000 people streaming online, and we've got a lot of great people here. How many, by show of hands, have not downloaded the Truth Social app? And I won't fight you in the parking lot. I just want to know how many have yet to download it. Okay, so what I need you to do is, if you go to Truth Social and you download the app, if you're watching online, okay, if you download the app and just take a screenshot, proof that you did it, and you text me, we'll keep this private, but it's my cell phone, so we're just going to keep it between you and me and everybody watching. You can text me proof of downloading to 918-851-0102. That's the number, 918-851-0102. Again, 918-851-0102. That's my actual cell phone number. It's kind of crazy. But if you will text me a screenshot that you downloaded, you'll be entered in for a chance to win a backstage pass to the Reawaken America tour, so you can meet Laura Trump and Kash Patel and Don Jr. and Eric Trump and Team America. So I need you to download that. It's very important because you're going to start to see censorship at a level you haven't seen before, and we need to have that tool available. Now, you've been writing this book, working on this book. You finished the book, and for 9 months, you weren't allowed to release your new book, Government Gangsters. Can you tell us, what was the deal with the book? Why is it so controversial? Why did you have to sue the government to release the book?
Because we wrote about the truth. The Biden administration We literally wrote about the successes in the Donald Trump presidency from a national security perspective, defense, intel, law enforcement, and we talked about how it's an apolitical mission. And when you work in government, you leave government, you have to submit your manuscript for review. That's totally normal. It's totally fine. It's supposed to take 2 to 3 months. 9 months later, the Biden administration refused to release my manuscript. I took them to federal court. I sued them. We won. And do you know how much of the book they redacted? 0.05%. They get it to 9 agencies and departments because they want to censor us. So you cannot bend the knee to these government gangsters, and that's the reason I entitled this book so. We have to start naming them. We have to start educating this country for the majority of people who still think Donald Trump is a Russian asset because they listen to CNN for too long. But we have to go out and that's our job. It's not the I told you so moment. The fact that elections were rigged and how they were rigged with DOJ and FBI using taxpayer dollars to go against the American constitutional Republican system is going on again. And we have to go, it is your job to get out there every single day and not say I told you so, but to arm people with the receipts, with the proof and the information that's in this book. That's kind of why I decided to write it, and writing it was, ironically, the easy part. Getting it through government was the not-so-easy part.
Now, folks, I talked to Kash about it, and typically if you're an author and if you're a business owner, how many business owners do we have here? Business owners? Okay, typically you want to, buy low, sell high. That's the idea, right? Well, with Kash, I said, with your book, can we sell your book tonight? And he said, I'd like to donate all of the sales, all the income that comes in to the church to support Sheridan.Church and their building process. So he'll stick around later tonight. And he would like to meet you and sign the books, but again, he'll be donating all of that back to the church because that's the kind of guy Kash is. Now, Kash, you were around President Trump on an ongoing basis, and I'm always hearing rumors about you, good rumors, about from Devin Nunes, and Eric has great things to say about you. And I just want to know, you've been around President Trump a lot. Does the man ever sleep, or what's a work day like when you're working with President Trump? What is it? Does he get there? I mean, what time does he get there? What time does he leave? Tell us about that.
You know, it's really inspirational, and nobody knows this better than Laura and Eric, and of course Don and his wonderful family. We would show up, and people, and the fake news would be like, "Oh, Donald Trump's not in the Oval before 10 o'clock." Well, that's because we were upstairs in the yellow Oval office at 6 a.m. working, and he was already up for an hour working ahead of that, and then we'd be in the Oval till 6 p.m. And because Donald Trump wanted to open up the White House to Americans to come in and visit, he would go back upstairs so the Secret Service wouldn't shut the compound down and work until 11, 12 p.m., 1 a.m. I would get phone calls at 1 a.m. And I'd be like, "Boss, what are we doing? Can we take a night off?" And he'd be like, "No." And that's the answer. You sign up for the mission. It is a privilege. It is not a right. It is a privilege to work for the greatest president that we've ever had. And that man doesn't sleep.
We can do. So, Kash, can you tell us what can we do to support you and the Trump team as we head into these elections? We're all in, but what do we need to do?
I mean, the mission, the theme of my book is just putting the mission first. You'll see it over and over and over and over and over again. You just have to find whatever your mission is. My mission happens to be the national security, defense, intelligence, wheelhouse of things. But you guys got to understand that local politics wins national elections every single day over anything you can do nationally or over anyone you can elect in Congress or Senate. So the mission is find one line of effort, as we say in the DOD. Find one line of effort, whether it's education, whether it's your kid's summer camp, whether it's the economy, whether it's getting rid of drugs, whether it's electing amazing sheriffs, whether it's sending great people into your state capitals so they uphold your values, your conservative values, your Christian values. Find one thing and do it for 420 days. And when you get tired, turn on the TV and be inspired by the greatest president we've ever had, Donald J. Trump, who is never going to stop working for you guys. That is how you get it done. You put the team first.
Now, President Donald J. Trump on Truth Social, if you don't have it, start to feel bad. Start to feel like I'm talking about you if you haven't downloaded Truth Social. Start to feel, is he talking to me? Oh, I'm talking to you. I think he's talking to me. Oh, yeah. Start to feel bad.
He's going to start calling you out.
Cognitive dissonance. Okay. But President Trump, he actually posted on Truth Social, he posted that we will not comply. How many of you saw that? We will not comply. So, Kash, what does that mean? What does that mean to not comply this time around?
We will not comply with the woke insanity that is corrupting our communities, our schools, and our government. We will not comply with mass mandates ever again. We will not comply with any sort of jab mandate ever again. We will not comply with government gangsters stealing our constitutional republic. And we will not comply with Joe Biden for another 4 years.
Now, folks, and I'm not attacking you guys, not attacking anybody here. I'm trying to be helpful, being very helpful. Some of you wonderful folks go to church here, and some of you have asked me, are you upset? You always look angry. What's wrong? I'm not angry. I'm just focused. Okay, so, but a lot of folks, not you, but other people, they don't speak out because they don't want to offend anybody. You know, they say, I love President Trump. I just like to whisper it. You know, you're like a Cracker Barrel. I love President Trump. Do you like Trump? I like Trump. Now, it is time for the silent majority to become the outspoken, vocal majority. Get the Make America Great hat on, okay? Because I'm telling you, you're starting. President Trump, he showed up at the Iowa State game?
Yeah.
He didn't hide from the crowd, and guess what? They couldn't stop getting standing ovations, okay? There's a momentum. The pendulum has shifted, okay? But we've got to get out there and get vocal about saving this republic. And I want to encourage everybody to be filled with that boldness. God has not given you a spirit of fear and of power, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Also, Matthew 5:10 says, blessed are ye who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Now, I'm not saying that Kash is a theologian. What I'm saying is you've been persecuted a little bit, right? I mean, you tell us what you were, because you have been, you know the legal system. A lot of the people that are working with the Bidens right now, you've actually seen them in a courtroom before. What kind of persecution do you face on a daily basis? Because we go out there and we start sharing the truth and getting vocal, you're going to have some persecution. And this guy's at the tip of the spear. Kash, what kind of persecution have you been facing?
Yeah, hopefully my mom's not watching. Basically, look, I learned from Devin Nunes during Russiagate, if they're coming after you, that just means you're over the target. Because the only thing that we ever cared about was advancing the mission for this country and putting out the truth. So then the defamation came in. And the ironic thing is the first time my name was ever publicized in the media, the Daily Trash, or I can't remember the online publication that it was, literally called me a genocidal dictator. Which is hilarious because my father fled a genocidal dictatorship to come and live the American dream in this America. And this is what they do to you. They try to kneecap you. Then if that weren't enough, the death threats come in. Those are fun. And what you have to understand is when that starts coming in, and it's going to come your way. This is all one army behind President Donald Trump. You have to look for an inspirational leader. And so what we could have done, Clay, is we could have bent the knee. And we could say, you know what? I'm going to go figure out a way to make money, and we'll let somebody else do it. Here's the kicker. There is no one else. If you don't decide to do it now, you can't blame us in 2 to 4 years because you mailed it in and didn't get active in your communities. And yes, you are going to lose some friends, but did you really want those friends anyway? Did you want a group of people in your life who didn't want to protect our border, who didn't want to rid the streets of Chinese fentanyl, who didn't want to go and kick Russia and China in the ass, who didn't want to establish a diplomatic corps so that the United States is respected again? Those were never your friends to begin with. So when you get scared, when you get afraid, know that there is this entire community behind you. And just remember the following. As much incoming as you take, what President Trump and his family takes on a daily basis is exponentially more than you will ever know. And if they are able to shake it off for us, we have to stand behind them and make sure we support them.
Amen. All right, Kash, 3 final questions for you. 3 final questions. But by show of hands, how many of you are a visitor to Sheridan? How many of you are visitors to Sheridan tonight? Okay, let me give a little commercial for Pastor Jackson, okay? When the lockdowns were happening...
Wait, by the way, isn't this guy, he's got the coolest name in America.
Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful man,
I'm going to interrupt you rudely and tell you a story and apply it to Pastor Jackson. I was on Air Force One. We were flying back from somewhere, and Donald Trump comes out of the office, and it's me and a couple of his senior staff, and he goes, hey, Kash, when they make the movie about me, I want you to play you. You're straight out of Hollywood. Pastor Jackson is straight out of Hollywood, and you're going in the movie.
Yes, yes. I want to tell you this because it's important to know. When the lockdowns happened, you know, my wife knows it. When we went to church, and I'm like, we got to go. And I'm in the parking lot like, what the boop is wrong with this boop? Son of a boop. And my kids are like, Dad, we're on the way back from church. I'm like, son, boop, what a boop, 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 boop. I hadn't really got back to Jesus yet. I was just, boop. How many of you were like that with a lockdown? I went to a second church. The mask holes were everywhere. The mask holes. They were going, wear a mask, wear a mask. No fear, but there's a lot of fear, a lot of fear. The praise and worship guy kept talking about fear the whole time, and I was just going, that son of a boop, boop, boop. And again, my wife's like, we need to go. You can't be cursing at church. We need to go. Move on, move on. True story. It happened. It was real. All right, so, and then I saw this guy, Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer. So I started doing some church cheating. Let me tell you how that works. It's where your spouse is still tithing or donating or whatever, but really you're mentally done. You're done. You're watching a different guy. And I started watching Pastor Jackson because he wouldn't shut his church down. He wouldn't shut the church down. He wouldn't shut it down. Wouldn't comply. Wouldn't give in. Wouldn't capitulate. He stood up for Christ. He and his wife. I'm not sure what that's like at home, but he and his wife were very strong publicly, and it was just great to see. We got one guy here. We got one guy here that's not going to comply. And he has the courage to bring in people like Kash Patel to come speak at his church. And again, when I talked to him this week, there was no doubt in his mind he would host this event. If this particular venue wasn't available, he was going to go somewhere else. But it's great to have a strong leader that won't apologize for our country. I just want to honor Pastor Jackson and Kendra Lawmeyer. They're great folks. Okay, so Kash, we're going to pull it up, governmentgangsters.com. I called Kash. I said, Kash, you got to come to Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm renaming the city. Mr. Mayor, when you win, we got to rename the city Tulsa, Jerusalem. We got to move it from D.C. to Tulsa, Jerusalem. That'll fix it. From D.C. to Tulsa, Jerusalem. 77 counties in Oklahoma voted for Trump. And I said, you got to come to Tulsa. We're going to do a podcast-a-palooza from Tulsa, Jerusalem. And he's going, a lot of words, a lot of syllables. What are you saying? We're going to travel to Tulsa, Jerusalem for podcast-a-palooza. So I locked this guy in my studio, I think, for 7 consecutive hours, back-to-back interviews. And the book is now becoming a bestseller. Yeah. And if you're watching online, I need everybody to go to governmentgangsters.com. Kash, if anybody buys the book right now, if anybody buys the book tonight, they're going to be entered in for a chance to win a backstage pass. You just have to text me proof of purchase. How many of you have a Democrat in your life? A Democrat? Yeah. Some of you are like, can I admit that? How many of you go to McDonald's? McDonald's? Some of you are, okay. Anyway, so if you have a Democrat in your life, buy multiple copies. But Kash, what kind of stuff can they find in the book if they pick up a copy of it?
Look, the long and short of it was the lesson I learned was everybody can identify the problem. President Trump and guys like Devin Nunes and Johnny Ratcliffe and Rick Renell taught me, what's the solution? What's the solution for the American people? So step one, government gangsters, is there's an actual list in the book of every single government gangster that failed Donald Trump during his presidency. And I probably list more Republicans than I do Democrats. And I'm talking about the Mark Espers of the world, the Rod Rosensteins, the Gina Haspels. But as I said, it's easy to identify those people. It's harder to talk about their corruption publicly, which is why they never wanted it out. But more importantly, and the thing I think the team, and I didn't write this alone, this is a great team of people I was fortunate to have, is what are the solutions for when Donald Trump is reelected? How do we turn the levers of government in the legislative, judicial, and executive branch? It's not just personnel that's a piece of it. Remember, your taxpayer dollars fund every single decision Washington, D.C. makes. And I don't want $110 billion going to the Ukraine when we got 55,000 homeless veterans here in the United States of America. Those voices have to be heard. And this book shows you that and reminds you that Congress works for you. The judicial system and the judges who have hijacked our Constitution for political purposes. This shows you how we can impeach them and remove them one by one, and we have to do it. It's not meant to be easy. So the roadmap, President Trump was really kind when he called government gangsters the roadmap to 2024. And if you think no one's listening to what's going on in Oklahoma, when I landed here, this book was 7,500 on all books around the world. It is currently 150.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, again, pick up a copy, governmentgangsters.com. You're entered in for a chance to win a backstage pass to the Reawaken American Tour. Kash, final question here. Again, there's people listening to their car right now, people watching from home, and everybody wants to team up with you. They want to support this country. Can you tell us a few of the people we should be following on Truth Social that are accurate? Because there's a lot of misinformation. How many of you seen people on social media that have their own bizarre theory, and you're going, is this real? Some go, see, have you seen these kind of things online where you go, is this real? You know, somebody online is saying, once Joe Biden unzips his face and declares himself as the Lizard King, we'll be fine. You're like, what? Have you seen that? You're like, what are we doing here? All right, so you want facts, you want reality. So there are a few people we should follow, or a couple folks on Truth that you'd say, look out for that profile.
Well, definitely Laura Trump. I mean, that's a no-brainer. That's where you start.
Oh, yeah.
Though I tried to keep up with one of her fitness videos, and that was not fun. So skip that part. But no, the entire Trump family, Laura, Eric, Don, KG, everybody, from the First Lady and the President, they're the leading voices in this movement. But as Clay was talking about, and as I write about in the book, there's so many voices that don't want to be named but should be heard. And I'm talking about, you know, some of my best friends that you may not have heard of, like the likes of Dan Scavino, who's an absolute legend in the Trump universe. And there are people out there like that who pour out their entire everything they have in the tank because they think putting the mission before themselves is what matters. So there's lots of folks like that. Guys like Mike Davis, who's one of the sharpest legal analysts in the country, I think, in my opinion, who puts out legal facts instead of cheap rhetoric so we can be educated with how we take on our communities when we go in there, and don't take the bait and be like, oh, look, there's another Trump conspiratist. We have the receipts. We have the documentation. We have the facts that the election was rigged. We have the Biden 51 intel letter. We have the Afghan disaster that happened under Joe Biden led to the 13 deaths of American soldiers. We have all this information. We just have to put it out there. And if you can get on platforms, and this might be a harsh reality, but why would we go back to platforms that took away an election from a duly elected president? Why would we ever do that again? I know the movement is not overnight. We got to draw in that entire crowds that are over there, and we got to work both systems. But we have to keep in mind that if you think that the people who did Russiagate aren't on Russiagate 7.0 right now, you have not been paying attention. They are just going to do it smarter and quieter and make sure they don't get caught. So if we fall asleep at the wheel collectively, it is on us. It's not on Donald Trump. It is on us. He's going to be out there loudly on the campaign trail more than any voice you're ever going to hear. So our job is simple. Pick a line of effort and go hard for the next 420 days. And send me a message in 420 days and tell me if you woke up every day and emptied your tank for this country. And if you do that, we're going to win.
Amen. All right, now my final question here, but a reminder, after Laura's presentation tonight, Kash is going to stick around, and all of the profits or proceeds from the book sales are going to go back to help finish this build out for this church. So if you want to buy a book for the price, that's great. If you want to donate extra, you can, but he wants to donate all of that to this church to help get this renovation done here, okay? Now,
well, I want to thank you so much for hopping on for just a moment to hear my heart on something. You know, there is a major crisis in America that I've kind of been briefed up on, and it's really blown me away. And the crisis that so many young families are facing is the rising cost in childcare. The numbers are incredible. Since 2020, the spike in childcare prices is really unbelievable. And that was one of the reasons this last year we launched Sheridan's Learning Center. And so many of you helped make that possible. You know, we built classrooms, cafeterias, playground, just the whole thing. And, you know, as we were looking at the numbers, there is an average cost in the city of Tulsa for childcare, which is about $1,100 a month. Now, think about that. $1,100 a month to send your one kid to childcare so you can go to work or whatever the case may be. And so at our program, we wanted to make sure that we tried to be affordable. We actually only charge $855 a month, and that's to cover our salaries for teachers and expenses that come with, you know, just having kids. But what we've noticed is there's a lot of families that want to send their kids to our program because it's Christian-based. And I always joke around, if you send your kid to our learning center, you're not going to have to worry about when they leave our learning center whether or not they're confused on their gender. We have chapel at our learning center. I get to see these kids every single day. We have a great program that my wife facilitates and leads. And what we've noticed, though, there's a lot of families. They need childcare. They want to send their kids to our program, but they're in this in-between phase. They make too much for government assistance, but they don't make enough to be able to pay for sending their kid to childcare. And so they're scrambling, trying to, you know, get grandma or grandpa or somebody to help watch on this day or that day. And so I'm coming to you because I'd like for you to help me address this crisis. This is not my program, it's my wife's program, but it's a part of our church, it's a part of our ministry. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to give away 2 full 1-year scholarships to 2 families that I know right now that are in need. I'd also like to be able to give away some partial scholarships. See, like I said, there's a lot of families that they can't afford the full price, let alone the $1,100 that other places are charging, the $855 a month that we charge. And so I'd like to give away some partial scholarships. These are families that they make too much for government assistance, but they just don't make enough to be able to, have that type of expense. And so I'm coming to you and I'm just asking you, would you help me help our program by making a donation today? It can be any size, whether it's $25 or whether it's $500, whatever the case may be. Would you please consider just making a one-time donation that will go straight into our learning center to be able to help these families out? And here's what I'm going to do. If you make a donation this week, we're going to enter you into a drawing for the ultimate VIP experience with Eric Trump when he comes to our church March the 6th. So we're going to give away 2 ultimate VIP experience passes to anybody that gives this week, whatever amount. And it doesn't matter if you give $5, you give $500, you'll be entered into the drawing for that. Now, for anybody who gives over $1,000 this week towards the Learning Center, you give over $1,000, I am going to give you automatically 2 ultimate VIP experiences for the day. Now, this is not a ticket that you can go buy. This is something that I'm giving you 2 ultimate VIP experiences with Eric Trump that day. It'll be a full day. There will be lunch. There will be an afternoon thing, and we'll get you those details. This is not something that, you can just go out there and buy. And so how can you give? Well, you can give by going to our church's website, Sheridan.Church, Sheridan.Church, and you just click on the Give tab. And whenever you give, whatever that is, in the comment box, just put Learning Center, put Childcare. That way we know what it's going towards, because obviously we have people giving tithes and offerings towards the ministry. Let us know that this is for the childcare, and we'll enter you in to win 2 ultimate VIP experiences with Eric Trump. And like I said, if you give over $1,000 to the Learning Center, you're going to automatically receive those passes from me. It'll be a great experience, but you're going to be helping out families. I mean, you're really going to be helping out families, because staggering to me, $1,100 a month for childcare for one kid is just crazy. And like I said, we're doing our best to keep that cost down at $855 a month, but there are still families. $855 a month is a very large amount for childcare, and they just can't afford the full thing. So we want to give away some partial scholarships. We want to give away some full scholarships, but we can only do that if you help us. And so I want to thank you in advance, because I know so many of you are going to do this. And those of you that help build the Learning Center, those classrooms and the playground and the cafeteria and just all the things that went into building it, thank you so much. You have made a huge difference, and given us the opportunity to plant seeds into these kids every single day. They are learning their ABCs, but they're also learning about the good news of Jesus Christ every day. So thank you for your partnership. Thank you for helping us help families. And I want you to know that God, I believe, will richly reward you for being a generous giver. And so I want to thank you. You can go to Sheridan.Church to give. God bless you guys.